Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. As sunlight streamed through the sheer curtains of our bedroom, casting a warm glow over the dresser, something felt amiss. The usual lineup of framed photos, snapshots of laughter, vacations, and our wedding day, seemed disrupted. One particular frame, usually center stage, was conspicuously absent. My heart skipped a beat. It was our wedding photo, the one of Jenna and me under the oak tree at her parents' farm, her favorite. A creeping unease took root as I rummaged through drawers and closets, searching for the missing frame. When I finally found it, tucked behind some old sweaters, the glass was cracked, the photo untouched. Questions swirled in my mind, but no logical explanation came. Jenna had always treasured that picture. Why move it, and why hide it? The incident nagged at me for days. Jenna's recent late nights and guarded phone calls added layers to my growing suspicion. We had promised transparency, yet here we were, cloaked in secrets. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong. Driven by a mix of desperation and suspicion, I decided on a plan that crossed lines I never thought I would approach. I installed a small video camera in the bedroom. It was a silent observer, tucked away on the bookshelf, its lens pointing unobtrusively across the room. I told myself it was to ease my mind, to dispel the fog of doubt with the clarity of truth. Weeks passed, and the camera collected dust and footage. One evening, with Jenna at another late meeting, I sat down to review the recordings. My hands trembled as I fast-forwarded through hours of mundane life until the screen showed something that stopped me cold. There was Jenna, but not the Jenna I knew. Clad in latex, she was with a man who turned, revealing not a stranger's face, but one horrifyingly familiar, my father. The betrayal sliced through me like ice. My wife and my father, in our own home, turned our bedroom into a stage for their deceit. The pain was physical, a punch to the gut followed by a hollow emptiness. How long had this been going on? How had I been so blind? Anger bubbled up, dark and poisonous, and with it, a cold resolve. I confronted Jenna the next day. She returned home, flushed from what she claimed was a stressful meeting. Her lies fell flat, each word dissolving in the air between us. I played the video without a word, watching her face crumble through tears and apologies. "I can't believe this," I said, voice low, struggling to keep the tremor from my words. "With my own father." Jenna sobbed, her pleas for forgiveness mingling with excuses I couldn't bear to hear. It was too much. The betrayal from both the woman I loved and the man I admired left a void no apology could fill. In my fury, I made decisions that would change our lives forever. I exposed their affair to our families, ensuring the bridge between Jenna and her in-laws, once sturdy with affection, crumbled into ash. Our divorce proceedings began swiftly, a taut, silent affair filled with signed papers and notarized betrayal. We parted ways, the love we had shared smothered by the weight of deceit. The last I saw of Jenna was her retreating back, a figure marred by the consequences of her choices. As for my father, our paths never crossed again. My heart hardened, focusing on rebuilding from the ruins of trust, determined never to look back. The air is crisp and charged with tension as I walk down the familiar streets of our neighborhood, a place once filled with shared smiles and casual greetings. Now, each step feels heavy, each glance from a neighbor sharp with unspoken judgment. They know. The whole town knows about Jenna and my father, their whispers slicing the silence like a cold breeze. I shove my hands deeper into my pockets, feeling the weight of isolation settling around me. It's a discomfort I've come to accept, a constant reminder of the betrayal that ripped my life apart. Yet, amidst the chaos of my emotions, a plan begins to form, a plan of cold, calculated retribution. I stop in front of Tom's Bar, a local haunt where my father used to spin tales of his younger days. With a deep breath, I push open the door, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses greeting me. There he is, at the end of the bar, laughing, seemingly untouched by the havoc he's helped wreak. "Michael," he calls, his voice jovial as he waves me over. I can barely contain the storm inside me as I approach. "We need to talk," I say, my voice steady despite the rage boiling beneath the surface. "Of course, son. Let's grab a table." He gestures, oblivious to the cold fire in my eyes. We sit, and the words spill out, harsh and unforgiving. "How could you?" I begin. "How could you do this to me, to our family?" He tries to interrupt, but I plow forward, not giving him the chance to mount a defense. "You destroyed everything, Dad. Everything. And for what? A fling?" He sighs, looking older and more tired than I remember. "It wasn't just a fling, Mike. I love her." The confession stuns me into silence. Love? The word hangs in the air, grotesque and misplaced. I shake my head, disgust mingling with the anger. "No, you don't get to use that word. Not here, not after what you've done." We argue back and forth, voices rising, until the bartender asks us to leave. The cold night air hits me as we step outside, a welcome relief from the stifling heat of anger and betrayal inside. As we stand in the parking lot, the final part of my plan crystallizes. "You're going to pay for this, Dad. I'm going to make sure of it." He looks at me, finally understanding the depth of my anger. "Mike, please." I cut him off with a raised hand. "No. You chose this. Now live with the consequences." I turn and walk away, leaving him standing alone under the dim streetlights. The next morning, I start by freezing our joint business accounts. It's a small revenge, but watching him scramble to cover expenses and payroll gives me a bitter satisfaction. I move on to social media, sharing emails and messages that lay bare the extent of their deception. The reactions are immediate and vicious. Jenna calls me, her voice frantic. "Michael, please, stop this. You're ruining everything. Like you ruined our marriage." My reply is cold, detached. She pleads with me, crying, begging for forgiveness, for a chance to explain. But I'm beyond listening. I hang up, blocking her number, severing the last tie between us. The sun rises slowly over the horizon, casting long shadows across the remnants of my life. The house is too quiet now, too empty. Every corner whispers with memories I no longer want. But I don't have time to dwell. There are more pressing matters at hand, more damage to be done. If Jenna and my father thought this was over, they were gravely mistaken. The real game is just beginning. I sit at the kitchen table, staring at the coffee cup in front of me, but my mind is elsewhere, calculating the next move in my plan. It starts with a phone call. "Hey, Mike, long time no speak." Ryan's voice crackles through the phone. He sounds upbeat, like he always does, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Yeah, it's been a while," I reply, keeping my tone casual. "Listen, I need a favor. Can you help me dig up some dirt on Jenna?" There's a pause, long enough for me to hear his hesitation. "Jenna? What's going on, man?" "She's been having an affair," I say flatly, no need for embellishment. The truth alone is enough to spark Ryan's interest. "With my father." "Jesus, Mike," he mutters, his shock evident. "I'm sorry." "Yeah, whatever you need." Ryan works in private investigations, and if anyone can help me find more cracks in Jenna's carefully curated image, it's him. We make plans to meet later in the day. The next phase of my revenge requires precision, and Ryan is the perfect weapon. Before the meeting, I take a walk through the town. Every person I pass seems to look at me differently now, either out of pity or judgment. The gossip has spread far beyond our circle, and every interaction feels laced with their unspoken knowledge of my humiliation. My thoughts drift back to Jenna, remembering the tears she shed during the divorce proceedings. "I never meant to hurt you," she had whispered in court, her eyes red and puffy. But it had been too late for apologies. I couldn't see the woman I married anymore. All I could see was the betrayal and the lies. I arrive at Ryan's office, a small place tucked between a law firm and a coffee shop. He greets me with a firm handshake, his expression a mixture of concern and curiosity. "All right, Mike," he says, closing the door behind us. "What exactly are you looking for?" "Anything that'll hurt her," I reply, my voice hard. "I want her reputation destroyed. I want her to feel the same pain she put me through." Ryan raises an eyebrow but doesn't argue. "All right. I'll see what I can dig up. This might take some time, though. People like her, they know how to cover their tracks." "I'm willing to wait," I say, and I mean it. My patience now has a singular focus. As I leave Ryan's office, I can't shake the feeling that my father needs to be dealt with more directly. I've already cut him off financially, but that isn't enough. I need something more personal, something that will hurt as deeply as his betrayal did. The idea hits me later that night as I stare at the wedding ring I no longer wear. I remember the conversation my father and I had last year about his retirement plans. He'd been planning to sell his house, my childhood home, to move to a quieter place with my mother, and he trusted me with the transaction. The power of attorney he'd signed without question was still sitting in my desk drawer. A bitter smile crosses my face. I could sell the house out from under him, strip away the one thing he's been holding on to. It's ruthless. It's exactly what he deserves. The next morning, I make the call to the real estate agent. By the end of the week, the house will be listed. I don't care about the money, this isn't about that. It's about taking from him, like he took from me. Every brick of that house is a reminder of the trust he shattered. He won't be living there anymore. A few days later, Ryan calls with an update. He's found something. Jenna has been meeting someone else, someone important. A local politician, married with kids, and they've been carrying on their affair for months, even before my father. The scandal this could cause is delicious. I tell him to gather proof. Pictures, emails, anything that can be leaked. When I hang up the phone, the satisfaction is almost overwhelming. This is bigger than I thought, more damaging than I could have hoped for. If Jenna thought she could rebuild her life after our divorce, she's about to learn how wrong she was. I start working on an anonymous email to the politician's wife. As I type out the message, detailing Jenna's affair with her husband, a part of me wonders how far I'm willing to go. But then I think of Jenna with my father, their betrayal burned into my memory, and I push any doubts aside. The email is sent. It's a waiting game now. I imagine the chaos that will erupt once the wife reads the message, once the scandal breaks. Jenna's world will crumble, just as mine did. The next day, I get a call from my father. His voice is strained. "Mike, what have you done?" he asks, panic evident. "I did what needed to be done," I say coldly. "I sold the house, Dad. You'll need to find a new place." "You can't do this," he shouts. "That's your mother's home too." "You should have thought about that before you betrayed me," I reply, hanging up before he can respond. I sit back, feeling the weight of everything I've done settle around me. The pieces are moving, and the game is far from over. But this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about taking control, about making sure neither Jenna nor my father can hurt me again. And as I stare at the empty space where our wedding photo used to hang, I realize there's still more to be done. Jenna's world is about to collapse, and I'll be there to watch it fall. The morning air feels electric, charged with the fallout of my decisions. I rise early, eager to check the news. The email I sent to the politician's wife has set off a chain reaction that I can't wait to witness. As I flip through channels, my heart races when I finally see it, a breaking news segment featuring Jenna, framed by the lights of a camera crew, tears streaming down her face as she denies the allegations. How could she? I mutter to myself, a dark satisfaction creeping into my chest. The betrayal still stings, but seeing her publicly humiliated feels like justice served. I lean back against the couch, a twisted smile forming as I watch the reporters swarm her, the camera capturing every anguished moment. The press is relentless. She is now the center of a scandal that threatens to unravel her entire life. But something else lurks beneath my skin, a gnawing sense of urgency. This isn't enough, I need to push further, to watch everything they've built together crumble into dust. As the day unfolds, I plot my next move. I grab my phone, fingers trembling with anticipation, and call Ryan. I need you to help me get in touch with some of the local media, I say, urgency bleeding into my tone. Jenna's about to become the laughingstock of this town. You sure you want to go that far? Ryan asks hesitantly. Trust me. I want everyone to know who she really is. This ends today. By the afternoon, I've coordinated with Ryan to orchestrate an even bigger reveal, one that will not only expose Jenna but also drag my father into the mess he created. He deserves every ounce of humiliation that I can throw at him. I head over to the local bar where I know my father hangs out with his friends. The place is buzzing with conversation, laughter, and the clinking of glasses, but I'm focused on one goal: to confront him publicly. As I walk in, I notice him seated at the bar, a drink in hand, clearly enjoying the last remnants of his carefree life. I approach, my heart pounding, adrenaline surging through me. Dad, I say, cutting through the noise like a knife. He looks up, surprise etching his features. Michael, what are you doing here? This ends now, I growl, my voice low and menacing. You think you can just forget what you've done? You're a joke, and soon everyone will know it. Before he can respond, I pull out my phone, hitting play on the video Ryan secured. It's grainy but unmistakable, Jenna and my father, caught in moments of intimacy, a betrayal laid bare for the world to see. Gasps fill the bar as his friends turn, eyes wide with shock. What the hell is this? My father shouts, his face pale, rage mixing with disbelief. You're about to find out, I reply coldly. I step back, letting the crowd absorb the moment, the betrayal rippling through them like a shockwave. You're a monster, Mike, he yells, desperation creeping into his voice. You've lost your mind. Lost my mind? I snarl. You lost your family. You lost my trust. You threw it all away for a pathetic fling. The laughter and whispers around us fuel my anger, pushing me to drive the knife deeper. You're sick, he fires back, but the tremor in his voice betrays him. I raised you better than this. I thought you did too. I guess it turns out you're just as much of a coward as I always feared. With those words, the dam bursts. Jenna storms in, having heard the commotion. Her eyes widen in horror as she spots the video playing on my phone. Michael! What are you doing? Exposing you for the fraud you are. I shout back, the bitterness boiling over. You wanted a new life. Let's see how that works out when everyone knows you're nothing but a lying cheat. She grabs my arm, desperation etching her features. Please, stop this. We can talk about it. No, Jenna. You chose this path. You think I'll let you slide just because you beg now? I turn my back on her, letting the crowd absorb her shock. The silence is deafening, punctuated only by the sound of my heartbeat echoing in my ears. The fallout is swift. Whispers swirl, drinks are forgotten, and laughter dies. The humiliation washes over them, drowning their pretenses in a tide of scorn. I watch as their lives collapse like a house of cards, everything they built together crumbling into ash. My father, furious and desperate, lunges at me, but I sidestep him easily, his drunken fury only serving to deepen the rift between us. "You'll regret this," he roars, but I'm already walking away, the weight of their betrayal hanging heavy on my shoulders. Outside, the cool night air feels liberating, a breath of fresh air after the suffocation of their lies. I glance back, catching a glimpse of them through the bar's window. Jenna, tears streaming down her face, while my father's frustration morphs into defeat. In that moment, I know I've won. But there's still a bitter taste lingering. As I drive home, the adrenaline begins to fade, replaced by an unsettling emptiness. The revenge has been sweet, but the satisfaction feels hollow. The betrayal has severed all ties, there's no going back. I pull into my driveway, parking the car and stepping out into the silence of the night. I stand there for a moment, looking up at the stars, wondering how love can twist so violently into hatred. The people who once meant everything to me now stand as distant memories, mere shadows of what they used to be. I head inside, knowing that tomorrow will bring a fresh start. The pain they caused will never leave me, but I'm done letting it control my life. As I walk through the empty rooms, I let out a long, shuddering breath, finally free from their deceit. In the end, I realize, it's not the revenge that matters. It's the freedom from their betrayal. I can finally begin to heal, and with that, I close the door on a chapter of my life filled with treachery. The past is buried, the future is mine to reclaim. And as the sun rises the next day, I'm ready to embrace whatever comes next.